Hey, everybody. Happy Saturday to you. Happy another day of college football. Well, I didn't watch hardly any college football today, Randy. What did you get to watch any today?
I don't know if I want to listen to you. I'm trying to see if I can mute you right here.
Yeah. It's a beautiful day here in the Midwest in St. Louis. So my wife and I and a couple friends took a trip up to Alton, Illinois, which is about an hour away. We took the top off the Jeep. I don't know if you can see this. I got a weird
Did
tan
you get
line.
burnt? You got burnt, didn't you?
Yeah. Yeah. Driving home the whole way. I wore this, and there's my little tan line. So I'm gonna be wearing a hat.
You've been around Rob too long.
A lot. I know. I know. Randy, thank you for filling in for Krista.
You see that?
Oh,
right?
there you go.
Farmer's tan all day long. Know the deal.
Yep.
Yeah. That's
Randy, thank you so much for coming in here.
Wait, is it Krista? Nat is on Tuesday nights, and Krista's tonight, right?
Yeah. I have trouble keeping it straight.
That's the case. You can tell Krista, I don't care. I look prettier than her anyway. I got her beat.
So I flip that and send that to. I'll put that in our group chat.
No, I don't want her to come beat me up even from there.
She will.
Yeah, in a heartbeat.
After seeing her at the conference on that Friday night, she was going after somebody who was stalking Miguel. I'm gonna try and stay on her good side all the time.
Yeah, I don't blame you there. I'm working about 5 different
things. But hey, guys, we have a fun show tonight. We have Al Santariga backstage, the Squatchfather. Looking forward to chatting with him. It's been a while since he's been on here. The chat with us. Want to remind you guys a couple things. Head on over to paranormalamongus.com. Have a new website. I'll have some. I've been doing sightings and stuff. I'm going to try and get those out there. I'm in the middle of my second short story. It's taken a little longer to write. It's turning into a longer story. So, but it's kind of fun. I love doing that. So kind of gets my creative juices going. So. But yeah, check that out, and I'll have all the other stuff. What are you laughing at?
Nothing, just something about juices or some crap like that. I just like
creative juices, not any.
I don't need to know any more than that. I'm good. Hey, I was in the Army. Don't ask, don't tell. Okay, it's okay. It's all right. Just be you.
Right. Charles Centers. Hey, Charles, I haven't seen you in a long time. How you doing? Let's take a quick gander at. Who we have in chat, then we will bring. I got a new mouse.
I see Josh out there.
Ball ones. See, we have Charles Centers. Good to see you, Josh Casto. You see his picture behind me. There it is, right over there.
I see it.
Jenny. We got John Temprine. We got Mike Adkins, Jenny's husband. All right. Mickey G's here. BJ just showed up. Pam's in there. Crystal, Roger Blair, good to see you guys. Smoky Mountain Wanderer, who's not Smoky anymore. You're in North Dakota, I believe. Tennessee, Kentucky, Bigfoot, and Val from southwestern Pennsylvania. Happy everybody is joining us tonight. And Daryl Stanley just popped in. So thank you guys for tuning in tonight. And without further ado, we're going to bring Al up. We were talking backstage, and we were going through a lot of stuff, and I wanted to save it for the show, but let's bring Al up.
Yeah.
Al, how you doing, sir?
Hey, Paul. Hey, Randy. What's going on? Hello, everybody.
Nothing much.
Not much,
Thank you
brother.
for being here.
Just chilling out,
Yeah, chilling out in a beautiful New York afternoon, late afternoon, or I guess evening now.
And now, wait a second.
It's dark now. You know what I mean? It's pitch black up here now.
I'm about to say that background's a little bit misconceiving there. You know what I mean? Deceptive.
Yeah, that's not my house, believe me.
I was going to say, I saw that exact background in somebody else's house who I know is not in New York. You guys are same designer
houses
somewhere.
Yeah, same.
Hey, Jeanette. Was he talking to the other Randy? She talking to the
So
other
again,
Randy? The other
Al,
Randy
thank you for joining us tonight.
Oh no, thank you for inviting me on. Absolutely, man. I greatly appreciate it. Yeah, I really haven't done any interviews in a long time, and like I said, I really haven't gone out in a long time. I mean, I've got people reaching out to me asking me if I retired, because they haven't heard anything from me. But I've had a lot of construction going on at the house this summer, so I've just been busy working on my house and my property and stuff like that.
You hadn't really done a whole lot on Facebook
sometimes.
either. It doesn't seem like so.
No.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Glad you took a little time to join us today. And I was looking some of your stuff, and over 50 years you have of investigations and experiences. There's no way you're old enough to have 50 years of experience.
Well, I'm 63 years old, so yeah. I mean, if I started at 13,
okay.
Yeah. No, but I mean, it's just a lifetime of experiences. You know what I mean? Starting when I was 5 years old, that was really the first one, and then it just went on from there.
Yeah, and you were talking backstage about your grandmother after she passed away. That was a time when they would lay the people out in the funeral parlor for a week. She came to visit you.
She came to visit me every
Quite
night.
Often.
Came to tuck me in. I was sleeping in her room, in her bed, in her pillows, with her blankets, and she showed up every night and talked to me in Italian and tucked me in and kissed me on the head and said, don't worry, I'm here watching over you, and tell everybody I'm okay. But like I said, she came every single night. She came right after, and the funeral parlor was right across the street from my house. So we would literally walk across the street, go up 6 flights of stairs because we lived in a 6-story walk up, and they would put me to bed right away because I was 5 years old, and then she would come to me as soon as my mother would put me to bed. She would come to me right after my mother left, and I told my mom, and my mom said, don't, she understood because my mom had psychic abilities, and my mother said, just don't tell your father because he doesn't believe in any of this stuff. And, it's his mother across the street, so we don't want to upset him because my father had a really bad temper,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Did you visit anybody else, or was it just you?
I honestly don't know because the whole neighborhood was family. Everybody from this town in Italy moved into this one neighborhood, so everybody was related either through blood or through marriage. And I don't know if she came and visited my other 2 aunts who were in the building next door to us. I don't remember any of my aunts ever telling me that, their mothers came to visit them after she passed. I don't know. But one of those aunts was a white witch, you know what I mean? So I'm sure they were doing tarot cards or crystal balls and stuff like that, trying to contact her to make sure she was okay and she passed over to the other side, because they would do stuff like that. I don't ever remember seeing them do Ouija boards, but I do remember seeing them use candelabras and seeing the lights on the candles go from 1 inch to a foot high and then back down again, to get answers and stuff like that, which was pretty mind-blowing, as a kid,
Yeah.
Now,
you mentioned that your mom was a psychic. Did that pass down to you and your sibling, or is it just you?
I think it passed over my brother. I don't think my brother got any psychic abilities or anything like that. But my sister and I were both very intuitive as kids and stuff, you know what I mean? And as time went on, me more than her, because, I'm out there investigating. The more I did it, the more my abilities got better. I never claimed to be psychic, but I would have all the clairs. I would have the smells and the taste, and I would get touched, and I would see stuff in my mind's eye. And every psychic I've ever worked with, who are real, world-renowned psychics and stuff, told me I had psychic abilities because I was seeing the same stuff they were seeing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I always called it like a gut feeling, you know, like I was at a location one time with John Zaffis and a bunch of people, and I went down in the basement, and I didn't know any history on the location, and I heard a voice in my head say, "Touch the wall," and I touched the wall, and then I heard a voice say, "Touch the door," and this door wasn't like your regular door. This thing was like 6 inches thick, 8 inches, like a castle door, you know. And with my hand on the stones in the basement and my hand on the door, I had in my mind's eye, I seen the images of the Underground Railroad, you know. Mm-hmm. And then the psychic who was working with that group that night, she came down, and then we all went upstairs to check, you know, go over everybody's notes, see what they were experiencing. As a matter of fact, that night I went all old school. I broke out dowsing rods and quartz crystal pendulums and compasses and Polaroid cameras and 35 millimeter camera. And John Zaffis turned to me and said, "What's this, 1975 again?" Because everybody had like all this high tech stuff. And I said, "You know what? I'm tired of all the high tech stuff. I'm going back old school." You know what I mean? If there's an image in my negative, then I know I caught something and it's not pareidolia, you know? Mm-hmm. And so as we were all sharing notes, I turned to the woman there who ran the location. It was like a museum. And I said, "Was this place ever used for the Underground Railroad?" And she said, "No, not." She goes, "Why did you ask that?" And then the psychic who was there turned to me and said, "What'd you see, Al?" And I go, "What'd you see?" And then we both said it at the same time. She got the same exact things I got downstairs. She's seen the Underground Railroad too. And I seen the Underground Railroad. And then she said, "Yeah, you know, I didn't, you know, because we don't want to know the history of the place. We want to go in and investigate it cold and then recap later, you know, see what we got right and what we got wrong." And me and her were both on point with what we seen. Yeah, that particular home was used as an Underground Railroad back in the day, you know. So it's pretty wild. Yeah.
Awesome.
That's insane.
And you know, I really like the old school no equipment type thing. Just you know, the Polaroid and something very simple. You don't need a whole lot of, you know, high tech gadgets and stuff. I mean, some are kind of cool to break out and everything, but you don't need that high end stuff. Just, you know,
not when it comes to photography.
Right. And, you know, just your feelings. I mean, you'll feel sense stuff as it comes to you. I mean, to me, that's almost a better way to investigate.
Yeah, and I even got an old mini reel-to-reel too recorder. You know what I mean? I tell you, when I went old school, and I tell you, I went old school all the way.
Yeah,
because there were people there with tons of equipment. I mean, like cases upon cases of equipment, all high-tech stuff. You know, and I was like, you know, I got all that crap too, but I left it home tonight. You know, I decided to go this way, and like I said, sometimes.
Yeah.
What you don't get with the new stuff, you get with the old stuff, and vice versa. Sometimes you don't get anything with the old school stuff, but you'll get it with the new, you know, the high tech new stuff. So it's just, I like to carry a little bit of both with me when I go out, and I like to do day night because I feel the energy changes from day to night, and you know, so I try to carry a little bit of both with me, and go from there and see what happens. You know.
Yeah. Why not?
Yeah.
Do you remember your first investigation that you were on, whether it was a ghost investigation or a big Dogman? What was it?
Oh, when I was telling you, like when I was back in high school with my friends, we used to go skate to my girlfriend's house. She had a house upstate on top of a mountain, so it was like she lived 2 minutes away from the ski resort. So we would go up to her house on the weekends and party and then go skiing all day. And, you know, and on the way up, there's a lot of history up here in the Catskill Mountains, you know, train derailments. And there was a lot of old hotels up here in the 50s that had tragic ends to them, burnt down. people lost their lives because everything was made out of wood. So that stuff went up like kindling, you know? So,
Yeah.
we went to one, and I was saying, we walked into this burnt out shell of a hotel, and we walked into the lobby, and I was a photographer back then. I went to school for photography. I took photography for 4 years in high school. Then I went to college for photography, and I had all my cameras. I let my friends have the cameras and stuff, and everybody's taking pictures. You couldn't get to the second floor because half of the steps were gone, you know? And I just had a gut feeling that there was somebody up on the second floor looking at me. I couldn't see anybody, but my gut told me, I guess I was feeling it's their energy, and it was a sad energy. So I just aimed my 35 millimeter up there, and I took one photo up there. And after that weekend, when I got back to school on Monday and I went to photography class, I developed all the film from all the cameras. I had 3 cameras with like hundreds of photographs. And the one particular shot that I took of the stairwell that went across the second floor, in between a couple of the railings, was a little 7-year-old girl in like a nightgown just looking at me. And I got goosebumps just talking about it. And she, I don't know if she passed in that fire, because people did pass in that fire, that particular fire. Because once I got that picture, we started researching it and everything. And so I felt like the next time we were going up to my girlfriend's father's house up in the mountains, we stopped back at that hotel, and I dug a little grave for her, and I put the picture in the grave and with a little cross, and blessed it with some holy water, and I buried it. And I was hoping that would be enough to get her to pass on to the other side and not still be there, you know? And it freaked everybody. I mean, our girlfriends were like distraught when they seen the picture of that little girl looking at them, you know? And they were like, I'm not going back in that. I'm not going back in there. They all sat in the car, you know, and me and my friends went back in the back, and we went into the back of the building and everything. Because, you know, really weren't supposed to be there to begin with, you know. But it was just something that we researched. We knew there were a couple of hotels up there that had incidents where people died in fires, and we knew there was a train wreck that ran along the mountain. You know, there was ice on a track or something to that effect, and the train went off and rolled down the mountain, and people died, you know. So there was locations we were trying to get to, because we were going up that way anyway. So we figured on the way up, let's stop for a few minutes and see what we could get. And that was just like one of the first ones where we really got undoubtable evidence, you know. I remember putting the negative in with the photograph, because I didn't even want the negative anymore. You know what I mean? I didn't want nothing to do with it. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, your friends that went with you, did they have the same, you know, abilities, I guess, as you, or are they just kind of feeding off of what you're finding?
No, I would say they had, I don't know if they had abilities, but they had experiences, because there was locations that we would get to sometimes, and I would get a bad vibe, and I was like, you know what, I'm not going in. I got a really, really bad vibe about this place. I'm not going in. And it would be like, Al, you're crazy. We just drove 3 hours to get here. I'm like, dude, I'm telling you, let's just turn around and leave. And they're like, hell no, we're going in. And I know a couple of times we went to locations, and one of them got thrown down a flight of marble steps. You know what I mean? Another one got pushed down steps that led down into like this basement where there was like some kind of altar or something, you know what I mean? So both got, one guy literally got thrown head over heels down the steps, and these marble steps were so wide. This place was a mansion in the middle of nowhere, and the people just abandoned it. And no one ever went to this location. And it was on this little town in Connecticut. And as a matter of fact, when we pulled into town, the sheriff stopped us and wanted to know what we were doing there, because we had New York plates on my car, my friend's car, and he had like a Barracuda with side pipes and everything, So it was loud and everything, and they're like, "What are you guys doing here?" And
it did have the Hemi, I'm assuming, right?
Oh, it had the Hemi, yeah.
Okay, thank goodness. All right, we're good with that.
And the Craigers and everything else, and we were meeting a friend of his because he was going to mechanic school in Connecticut, and the kid lived in that town, and he told us about this mansion, and we went up there, and like I said, I got a bad vibe. I didn't go in, but I took photographs of the grounds, and when I was on the back of the property looking up at this giant mansion, it was built like a castle. I got a photograph of a figure in black on like the third or fourth floor, looking out a window, looking back at me. I didn't go in the building because I got such bad vibes, but they went in and they got one got thrown head over heel down these steps. And like I said, these marble steps were so wide, you could have drove a semi up them. You know what I mean? And this place had like crystal chandeliers still in it. And no one ever went in there to rob anything. You know what I'm saying?
Really?
None of the kids from the town went there and partied. They had a boathouse. They had their own beach on the lake. They had like an Olympic-sized swimming pool. None of the kids went there to party. Nobody hung out there. It was just bad mojo. And I couldn't believe, like, when I was developing the photographs the following Monday, and I was seeing how beautiful this place was. But like I said, down in the basement, they had like this altar that was really weird looking, really rude. And that's where one of my friends got. He got pushed down those steps down into the altar, and the other one got thrown head over heels down the marble steps. But I had bad vibes about it, and I said, you know what? I'll do the grounds, but I ain't going in this building. I don't want anything coming back with me, to New York. And
it's a good idea.
I mean, at one point, they both came running out of the building because they had my cameras. And I was like, dude, whatever you do, don't leave my cameras in. I need them in school, And I was like, they both came running out of the building, hauling ass. Their shirts were ripped off their body. And they got attacked by something, And
really,
they didn't know what attacked them, but we got in that Barracuda and we hauled ass out of there, and we didn't stop till we seen the sign that said welcome to New York.
Wow, scared you all the way back home. Gee, that is nuts. Have you ever wanted to go back there since?
I don't even remember. I don't even remember what the name of the town was, to be honest with you. The two friends that were with me, one of them has passed, and the other one is living out in California, the guy who had the Barracuda. And I talk to him occasionally, like we talk to each other on our birthdays and stuff like that. But I've never, ever brought up that time because he got his shirt ripped off his body. You know what I mean? And
still freaked out about it a bit.
Yeah, he didn't want. He was like, Al, I'm not doing this crap with you anymore, And I was like, I told you not to go in. You guys wanted to go in,
And from the bottom of my heart, I pray that he still got the Barracuda. Okay.
No, he doesn't have the Barracuda. No. He went through a lot of cars, that dude.
That's the dream car. Sorry, that's just a bucket list car. So
yeah, that was a beast. The Barracuda was a beast. Yeah.
Yes, it was. But anyway, sorry, Paul. I digress.
Oh, you're good. You're good.
I could talk about Barracudas all night long.
Anytime you say Barracuda, I'm thinking the Pat Benatar song Barracuda.
That's hard.
Totally different.
Hard.
Yeah,
I know. Oh, it's hard to think Barracuda.
It's hard.
Yeah, it's hard. Yeah, not Pat Benatar. That's hard.
And Wilson tearing that up. Yeah. And Nancy Wilson tearing up the guitar. And okay. Now you get me all crazy now. Anyway,
getting you crazy.
Yeah, I know it ain't that far of a drive.
I would challenge the getting. I mean, you're there.
3/4. I'll just say 3/4.
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean,
I think we can
always did stuff. Always, like I was telling you, when I was 10 years old, me and my best friend Richie were up on my father's A-frame roof. We had our radio up there, listening to rock and roll from the city, coming out of the city, and we were sky watching at 10 years old. And we seen these 3 points of light dancing around in the sky. And I had a brilliant idea to jump off the garage at my father's. He had a spotlight that he used for crabbing at night, and he would put the light in the water, and the crabs would come right up to the light, and he'd just scoop them and put them in the boat, you know. And so I'm up there, and I did a Morse code, and when I did this Morse code, all 3 of these points of light stopped. So then my friend Richie said, let me try. And he did a Morse code, and they did it back. And I was like, dude, let me try again. And then I did a different kind of code, and one of them dropped down from as high as a star, just dropped, boom, from as high as a star to just above the air traffic coming out of the city. And we just freaked out. We both jumped off the garage roof and ran into my room and hid under the bed. We slept under the bed in our sleeping bags. And the next morning, my father couldn't find us. He picked up the bed and he seen us laying there. And so, what the hell are you guys doing under the bed? And it was like, we told him, he said, oh, don't start with this alien bullshit, you know, let's go, let's get up. It's time to get up, you know. And he didn't want to hear anything about that stuff, you know, but right. And then right after that, go ahead. No, go. No, I'm saying right after that, I started sleepwalking. And one night I come out of the bedroom sleepwalking. My mother, father up watching the Late Show and Johnny Carson. And I was taking like these really high steps, like I was going up steps. And my father said, where you going? And I said, I'm going home. He says, oh, really? He said, yeah. He goes, where's home? I said, the moon. I'm from the moon, I told him. And my father said, oh, really? He spun me around, kicked me in the ass. He sent me back to bed. And then right after that, I started waking up with terrible nosebleeds. And I would have there would be blood all over the wall. There would be blood on the pillow and everything. And, you know, and I don't know how my nose was bleeding because, you know, I lived in a tough neighborhood. We did a lot of fighting, you know, even amongst friends we fought, you know, and I got a fat lip every now and then and maybe a black eye, but my nose never bled. And when I asked my father, I said, Pop, why do I have these nosebleeds, you know? And he was like, because you don't stay still at night and you hit your nose against the wall and that's why it starts bleeding. And I said, okay, you know, not thinking anything of it, sound like a reasonable reason for them. But then I started thinking about it later on in life. So wait a minute, I got punched in the nose a million times. My nose never bled. Now it's going to bleed by hitting the wall when I'm sleeping. How hard am I hitting this wall? But, you know, and that's when I started, you know, talking to my brother about, you know, abductions and stuff like that. And, you know, my sister and everything. And, you know, and one thing just led to another, you know, but it all started with that Morse code. And every time I've seen something in the sky, I do a Morse code. I don't know why I do Morse code, but I do.
Really?
And every time I do a Morse code, I get a response back every single time.
Interesting.
Which is insane. Which is insane, honestly, when you think about it, because who knows what you're aiming that Morse code at, you know?
Yeah, I don't know what I'm aiming at. I don't even know what I'm saying in the Morse code. I'm just doing the Morse code, you know? And it's not like I'm saying, hey, how are you? You know, why don't you come down and let's have a cup of coffee or something, you know? I'm just doing a combination of light flashes and stuff. And and then they always zoom in and then they always do it back.
Wow. Do you, I mean, what do you attribute the sleepwalking and the nosebleeds? I mean, do you think do you think you were abducted? Do you think you were marked somehow?
I think after I did that Morse code, I think I was tagged. Yeah, I really do. I mean, because I never sleptwalk, you know, before. And my cousins would sleep. Like I said, we all lived in the same neighborhood and everybody slept at everybody else's house and everybody else's house was like your own. You just walked in, you know, it was all family. Yeah. And, you know, I had one cousin who always sleptwalk as a child. He always sleptwalk and nobody else ever did. I never did until that point in my life. And then I started sleepwalking and stuff, you know, and getting nosebleeds. And I truly believe at that point I was tagged. Yeah, I really do.
So was your friend that you were up there on the roof with, was anything happened to him with sleepwalking or anything unusual like that?
No, I don't think anything ever happened to Rich. No.
Huh.
Yeah, I don't think anything ever happened to him.
You'd have thought something would have been happening with him at the same time. If you got tagged, but if you were the one physically holding it, maybe it just got you for that. So,
Yeah, maybe it was my energy. Maybe it was because I always got gut feelings and stuff. So maybe that was my psychic ability telling me, and maybe he didn't have any of that. I don't know. I don't honestly. I have no idea what it was. As years went on, researched all kinds of stuff, bloodlines and stuff, and my bloodline goes back to the Roman Empire. My last name is an original name of Rome. And actually, my last name in Italian means holy line. You know what I mean?
Really?
I got
Sure
the
does.
I got the HR negative blood gene in me. All of that stuff. So I don't know. I don't know if any of that stuff has anything to do with it, but every time I do something and I do a little research on something. It always and the experts say, well, if you have this, then you've been abducted. And I've always had everything the experts say,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I mean, it's just crazy, it's just absolutely nuts.
Yeah, that is crazy. What's maybe the weirdest UFO experience that you've come across in the 50 plus years that you've had things happen to you?
The weirdest, I don't know. I mean, the 2 times I thought I was being abducted was pretty weird, most of the UFOs I've seen, and I've seen every kind of UFO under the sun. There was only 2 experiences where I got bad vibes from them. I don't scare easy. I'm pretty confident in my ability. I have 5 different martial arts style belts. You know what I mean? So I'm pretty confident in my ability to handle myself in any situation. Even now, as an old man, I'm not what I once was, but I still got this old dog. Still got some fight in him, But but I mean, like, there was one time. There was this mountain range I had to drive through to get home. And this mountain range is crazy haunted. There are Bigfoots in there. There are Dogmen in there. There are aliens coming out of the lake. People see UFOs coming out of the lake, going into the lake. And I've done a lot of research at this place, and I've had all kinds of experiences there. One time I'm driving, I'm getting ready to go up this. We used to call this mountain the Twilight Zone, because in the wintertime, you would start at the bottom of the mountain. It would be nice. Halfway up, it would be raining. By the time you got to the top, you would be in a blizzard, a whiteout. And then it would be just the same thing on the other way going down. So the joke was it was the Twilight Zone. One night I'm going home late from work, and I see this, for lack of a better definition, it looked like one of those old time what do you call those things? It tops that spun around, right?
Yeah.
That you put the rope on and you spin them around.
Yeah.
That's what it looked like. And it was spinning with different color lights, but it had a light coming out of the bottom of it, like it was searching for something. And it was going back and forth across this mountain range. And I had to go through that mountain range to get to where I have to go. And I know that that's a good 10-minute ride to get up and down that mountain, And I seen this thing, and every fiber of my being said, get off this road and take the long way around the mountain and go home the long way tonight. Doesn't matter if you're a half hour later than you're supposed to be, take the long way. And whenever I see UFOs, especially when I'm driving at night by myself, I always do a time check. And I did a time check, and I got off the mountain. I did not go up there, and I got around it, and I got down it. When by the time I came back around and down the other side, I was still where I was supposed to be. And I don't know why that freaked me out that night. I don't know what that craft was looking for, if anybody in particular. But I didn't want it to grab me, And it was late. I worked late, and I was the only guy on the parkway, and I said, you know what? I got to get off. And then there was another time I was coming home again. and they were building a strip mall on the side of the parkway. All the buildings were up and everything, but there was no businesses in the strip mall yet. They hadn't opened up for business. And I'm coming down the hill, and it's raining cats and dogs. And off to my left is this V-shaped craft, big craft with 3 lights on it and a light coming down the center of it. And I'm looking at this thing. And now it's early in the night, like 6:30 at night, but it's in the wintertime, so it's pitch black and it's raining. And I'm looking at all the other drivers around me in traffic, and I'm saying, does anybody else see this? Am I the only one seeing this, right? So I see this craft at the strip mall. So I said, I got to turn around. I got to go back, you know? This particular year, I seen a craft every single day on the way to work and every single day on the way home for like a month straight. I thought I was losing my mind. I called my brother, who was living in Michigan at the time. He was a MUFON investigator. I said, Frank, I think I'm losing my mind. I'm seeing a different craft. And he goes, well, how do you know they're craft? And I said, because I get a vibe when I see them. I get a vibe. If I don't get a vibe, I don't pay attention to the lights in the sky. But I'm seeing all these different kind of crafts. So he said, carry a camera with you in the car. So I put a camera in the car, and I see this giant V-shaped craft, and with this light coming down out of it. And I was like, man, I got to turn around. I got to go back. And I turned around, and I went back into the strip mall, and I went all the way to the back of the strip mall. And man, it was dark back there. There were no lights on. And there was a fog, but only at the strip mall there was this fog. There was no fog anywhere else. And I got out, and I said, man, I got to get out of this car and take a picture of this thing. So as I was opening the door, a little voice in my head said, don't do it. Don't get out of this car. You don't know what's in this fog. The fog is 4 feet high. Something can grab you in this fog, and don't do it. But I said, man, I got to get out of this car. I got to get a picture of this thing. No one's going to believe me. So I get out, and I get out, and I rolled the dice. I went against my gut feeling. I rolled the dice. I got out of the car, and I went to take a picture of it, and the damn camera wouldn't work. Now I know the camera had brand new batteries in it. I know this camera worked fine when I left to go to work that day. So at that point, I said, you know what? This is a sign telling me to get back in the car. The camera's not working. I get back in the car and I leave. I go back that Sunday. That was like a Friday night. I go back that Sunday. That was my next day off. I get to the strip mall. And what I thought that light was sucking the energy out of the electrical boxes. That's what I thought it was doing. It was taking the energy out of the electrical boxes. But when I got there, I noticed that the parking lot was pitched, and it had a catch basin for all the water to go into, right? And I'm looking at this catch basin, and there's no water in it. It's bone dry. It's dry, so dry that the ground is cracked. So I'm taking pictures. I'm up on the electrical box, taking pictures down at this thing, and the grass around the catch basin is burnt. It's all yellow. 10 feet from the catch basin is a stream. There's the water running down that stream is running so hard you could go white water rafting on it. Dang. All this, there's so much water in the stream, but there's not a drop in the catch basin. I sent the pictures to my brother in Michigan because, like you said, he was a MUFON field investigator, and he freaked out. He goes, "How is it possible that stream is running so hard, and there's not even mud in the catch basin? It's bone dried."
And how far away was it again?
The creek, the creek from the catch basin was no more than 10, 15 feet away.
And that's insane. Just overrun alone would have kept that wet at a minimum.
Yeah, I mean, it was just like I said, the water that was running down the stream, you could have surfed on. You know, it was running so hard, and it wasn't a drop. And I'm thinking that light was sucking up all that water, and that's what made that fog. It wasn't really fog. It was a mist, like a steam kind of mist,
vapor,
you know? Yeah. And I was like, I didn't know it at the time, you know? And my brother he was blown away by that, you know? And I was like, dude, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, this craft was huge. It was as big as a football field. And like I said, I'm looking at the other drivers all around me, and everybody's like this watching the road because it's raining. And I'm the only one looking up at this giant V-shaped craft in the sky. And I'm like, am I the only one who's supposed to see this thing? I don't know.
Yeah.
Could be.
But I turned around. I had to turn around. I said, you know what? I got to go turn around. I got to turn around. I got to go back. I got to get a picture of this, you know. I just have to. And but every time I took that damn camera out of the car to get a picture of a craft, it never worked. And then as soon as the craft went away, that camera worked great. And that happened to me like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
3 or 4 times that happened to me.
Wow.
One time
it was either sucking the energy out. It was either sucking the energy out, or it just didn't want you to take the picture of it. Yeah.
Yep. It blocked.
One night I had this one craft. I called it the red craft. It looked like a red football with a red light that blinked underneath it, right? And I would see it on the parkway. I would see it over my house. I would see it everywhere. So I got out one night. I live at the bottom of a hill. I went up on top of the hill because that's where the craft was. I figured, let me get to the top. It'll get closer. And I went to take pictures of it. And of course, the camera didn't work. I dropped the batteries out of it. I put new batteries from a fresh pack in, go to take pictures of the craft. Still wouldn't work. I drive down to the bottom of my hill, which is like a mile from the top of the hill to my house. It's a mile down the hill. I get to my house. I start taking pictures of my driveway, and the camera's working fine. But it didn't work. It never worked when I had a craft in front of me. Never.
Wow. That's amazing, actually. That's wild.
Doesn't it just blow your mind that they can do that, stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what they were doing. I had another time. I'm cruising down the parkway, and again, it's in the wintertime. It's night. It's like, and my car starts puttering, and I'm like, oh, you got to be kidding me, man! I'm like 100 yards away from the exit to get off, and the car's puttering. So I pull into a parking ride. We have parking rides up here, so people could commute. I pull into the parking ride and the car dies. And I'm like, oh, I can't believe it. I can't even get it towed off the parkway with AAA because they can't come on the parkway because somebody else has got the contract, right? And I'm thinking, oh man. And I look over at there's a little store there that they sell coffee and donuts and buttered rolls in the morning and stuff. And over the store is something that looks like Ezekiel's wheel. Just parked over the top of the store on a 45-degree angle. It's not even straight. It's on an angle. And I look up at this thing and I'm like, I could hit this with a rock. I could literally take a rock off the ground and hit this thing is 20 feet above the store. The store is a small store. The ceiling of the store is only about 20 feet high. So this thing is 40 feet away. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, let me get the camera. I go to get the camera, take the picture. Camera doesn't work. The thing pops up like in a blink of an eye. It goes from where it was to maybe 100 feet higher. As soon as it went higher, my car started back up. Yeah. And the camera. So then I said, well, let me take a picture of it. The car started up. The camera may be working now. As soon as I took the camera back out of the car to take a picture, but now it's further away, it zipped off. Boom, it was gone. Blink of an eye, it was gone. But the car started back up, so I was able to drive home. I was like, oh, thank God the car's, but it killed my car. It's like it wanted me to see it. It stopped my car on the parkway that night so I could see it. You know what I mean? It was just absolutely nuts, man.
I've got a question on that one though. Are you sure that it wanted you to see it or it wanted to see you and it was checking you out?
Well, I mean, it made my car stall, so maybe it wanted to see me. Yeah,
well, I think it was checking you out about it, maybe a little bit too.
Yeah, maybe, but I was just grateful that the car started back up and I was able to go home. You know,
exactly.
I didn't need a tow. I didn't need $100 tow to go, 100 yards. You know what I mean?
No,
so,
no.
Yeah, so that's what.
And how do you explain that?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's just another time. Again, coming through these mountains, I would see fleets of UFOs flying up and down the Hudson River, fleets of them, just in formation, flying up and down the Hudson River. One night, on that particular parkway, there used to be a ski resort on the parkway, okay, back in the 70s. and they closed it down. And now there's a ranger station, an outstation for the state police. Well, one night I'm coming down the hill and I see this thing in the sky shooting off all different color sparklers. It looked like a colored sparkler going off in the sky. So I pull into the ski resort parking lot, and I was like, what the hell am I looking at? The sky is black as ink, but this thing is shooting off colors that are so pure. You've never seen colors like that. Even like the purples and the blues were so pure. You could see them against a black ink sky. Okay. So then I go to get the camera, take the picture. Of course, the camera doesn't work. And I'm sitting, and I always do a time check. As soon as I pulled into the parking lot, I did a time check to make sure I didn't lose any time. And I'm sitting there and I'm looking at this thing, and I'm like hypnotized. I felt like I was being hypnotized, and I'm sitting there looking at it for like 10 minutes, just in awe of these colors, because I've never seen colors so pure before at that point in time in my life. And then the little voice in the back of my head says, maybe you should get in the car and go, because this is a really big parking lot, and that thing could probably land in here, if it wanted to. And I was like, yeah, maybe you're right, little voice. And I got in the car and left and went home, and I made sure that the time quote worked out just right when I got home. There wasn't any missing time, but it was the most incredible thing I've ever seen, man. I mean, when I tell you, it looked like a different color sparkler shooting out different colors, but they were so pure, these colors, so pure. It was amazing.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah,
you sent me last couple days, you sent me a bunch of pictures, and I want to share some of these and some videos as well. Here's one of them. What was this from?
I'm hearing voices.
Are you there, Al?
Yeah, I'm here.
You're hearing voices? Oh,
yeah, I'm hearing voices.
What's
somebody talking in your house? That's
I just there's a motorcycle that just went down the road. It sounded like.
Oh, well, maybe that was it. I thought it sounded like muffled voices.
Something weird. You were talking about the UFOs before. I was just texting my wife. I smelled something so strong and so sweet just all around me.
Oh, wow.
And I have no idea what it was. I texted my wife, asked her if she was downstairs cooking something. No, she's not. My son's not in the shower, which is just outside this door. So I don't know what it is. I mean, she says that it's her because she's so sweet. I'm like, no, that's not.
Of course it is.
Yeah. So I don't know what that was. And then you're hearing the muffled voices. So that was
Now you saw me earlier in the show, kept looking around behind me and stuff like that right there.
Yeah.
When I was in Mineola last week, it wasn't that I saw anything. I kept feeling something on the back of my neck right here. I was trying to double check it. I thought it was a bug or something like that may have gotten there. Fans right here blowing too. I was like, okay. But it feels like somebody, playing with it, not just a fan blowing on it or whatever. It felt like somebody's playing with it. I'm like, okay. Of course, I look around, just try to make sure, because the same thing happened to me in the theater in Mineola last week. And I'm like, okay, now you better not have followed me after I told you to stay there. All right.
Absolutely.
No kidding. Yeah.
Well, that photograph was a still image. That photograph is a still image of a UFO I filmed off of my front deck last November. And, it looks like a triangle to me with some kind of energy in the center of it. I don't know. I mean, it looks different in every photograph I've taken, but that was like one of the better ones that it actually came out on. And in the videos, it doesn't look like a triangle at all. It looks like, I know it sounds ridiculous, but it looks like a germ. One.
I hit the wrong one.
Okay.
Sorry, I hit the wrong one. Sorry.
Yeah. No.
So go ahead. Go ahead.
Like to me, it looks like a germ underneath the microscope. Where it's spinning around and it's got all the different colors coming off of it and stuff. And It was pretty strange. It came back 4 weeks in a row, always at night between 7 8 o'clock at night. My wife was the first one to see it out the front window, and she said, "What's this?"
Really?
And I probably Venus. It's always Venus. And I went out. Because I'm a watcher, I have an app on my phone that tells me what the constellations are and the planets and stuff like that. And I put it up against where this UFO was, and nothing lined up with it, which made me think, okay, now I'm not dealing with a constellation or a planet. I'm dealing with something else. So then I started videoing it with my phone, and it looked like in the phone, it looked like a germ spinning around underneath the microscope, but with different colors, with spinning all these different colors and stuff. And it was pretty wild. And it's like I said, it came back 4 weeks in a row. And the second week it came back, or the third week, I don't remember. I had all my high-tech stuff because first time it came around, all my stuff was in the car because I was going squatching the next day. So I had all my high-tech stuff in the car, and I was just using my cell phone. And then it came back week after week. So I had my thermal out there. I had my full spectrum. I had my IR camera out, and I was filming in 4 different spectrums of light. And because I wanted to, get it. And the crazy thing is it showed up in every spectrum except thermal. In thermal, it was invisible. It didn't show up in thermal. And I got a good friend of mine, Mark D'Antonio. He's a MUFON guy. He has a lot of high clearance with the Navy. He does make satellites for the Navy and stuff. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to reach out to Mark and ask him if cold fusion propulsion systems put off heat, because whatever this thing was, it wasn't putting off any heat. But you could see it in every spectrum of light except thermal. It was invisible in thermal, which blew my mind because I thought if nothing else, it would show up in that, but it didn't. And it came back, like I said, it came back 4 or 5 times. And then it came one morning. I was going to work. It was like 4 o'clock in the morning. I was going to work, and the little voice in my head said, "Look up." And I looked up and I seen it. Now I've never seen it at 4 o'clock in the morning. I've always seen it between 7 and 8 o'clock at night. So I'm like 4 o'clock in the morning, man. I'm tired. I'm going to work. I'm tired. And I just looked up at it and I said, "Nah, I got no time for you. I'm too tired for this nonsense." And the little voice said, "Stop." The little voice said, "Stop. Film this." So I stopped and I started filming it. And then the little voice said, "Ask it to acknowledge you, but ask it telepathically." So I asked it telepathically, if you could see me, acknowledge me. And it flashed me, would look like a flash to me, filming it. But when I rewound the video of it, it's not actually a flash. It expands to like 10 times its size, and then it shrinks back down. And I was like, whoa, that just blew me away, because now I'm all amped up and I'm on my way to work and I can't get to work fast enough to tell my partner at work what the hell just happened and show him the video, and that's the second video, the one you were actually just playing, that you said you hit the wrong one.
Yeah, I thought it was a picture. Let's go ahead and play that one real quick.
Okay. You'll Did you see how big it got when it flashed? Yeah. I mean, and like I said, to the naked eye, it just looked like a flash. But when you watch it on the video, you can see it actually expands.
Yeah, because it almost looks like when a dot of light will refract out. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So your pinpoint of your flashlight, if you diffuse it enough to spread it out and then bring it back to the point,
right?
Like that.
Yeah, it just blew my mind, because that meant it heard my thoughts. It heard my thoughts that morning, Yeah. And then it came back one last time, but it came back during the day, like 3:00 in the afternoon, and I seen it up in the sky, and I wasn't going to film it because I said, how many times am I going to film the same thing, you know? And I was just looking at it, and I was looking at it, and it was moving towards me. And then as it got closer to me, I don't know what happened. I don't know if it disappeared, it shot off somewhere, but where it was, a Cessna airplane came out of. And a little Cessna flew over my house, right? And as this Cessna is flying over my house, I'm doing a Morse code with my flashlight, an SOS. Now I'm doing an SOS. And I'm thinking, if this pilot knows what this is, he's going to pin his coordinates and he's going to call the state police and send someone to this house because I'm doing an SOS. And I waited for the state police to come or the county police. No one ever showed up. Now, I don't know if that UFO turned from a UFO to a Cessna airplane or put the image of a Cessna in my mind's eye, but I could hear the. Now, you know how loud Cessnas are? They're like crop dusters. You can hear them from a mile away. I didn't hear this thing until it was literally over the roof of my house, which made no sense to me because we have a small airport down the street and these Cessnas go by all the time and you hear them all the time, you know, coming from a mile away before you see them. But I don't know where this thing went to or what if it turned into anything, but this thing was going by. I kept the SOS on it for like that particular day. I was doing the Morse code. I kept it on for about 10 minutes straight. And then I followed it over my house going north towards Massachusetts. And I was like, okay, if that was a real plane, they'll be sending the state police here any minute, you know? Yeah, and no one ever showed up at the house. So no one ever showed up. So
wow.
It was just crazy. I don't know what the hell happened. 1 minute I'm looking at a UFO and the next minute I'm looking at a Cessna. You know, it was so strange, man. So strange.
That's crazy how that would just either come out of that light or just change into it, or like you said, maybe show that to you in your mind and not really be a Cessna.
I don't know. I was baffled because it's like 3:00 in the afternoon, and I'm just baffled that I didn't hear this plane coming from a mile away. I didn't hear until it was over my house. But then as it was flying north towards like Massachusetts, I could hear it, you know, going for quite a distance, you know, and I was like, how come I could hear it going, but I didn't hear it coming? Didn't make any sense.
No.
Yeah.
No, made no sense whatsoever.
You got Paul looking around.
Paul's looking around.
I got some weird dust or something flying around. I don't know what that was. There's a lot of weird things happening.
Yeah, because you're talking
Mickey,
to me
you guys
tonight,
heard voices.
Yeah.
Well, I blame Al.
I mean,
yeah, it's my fault.
Yeah, it's Al.
I'll take the blame for it, no doubt about it. Yeah.
Weird smells that aren't me.
Yeah.
Probably better than you,
let's
right?
Move. Yeah, I mean, whatever it is smells really sweet. I like it. I mean, if I could
bottle it up,
that would be nice. Yeah, there you go. Let's transition a little bit into Bigfoot cryptid stuff. You've had quite a few experiences. You sent me okay, well, first question, what's, and I always like to ask this one, what's the strangest or let's do this, the most incredible encounter that you've had?
Well, we had a Wendigo, and me and my cousin had a Wendigo and Skinwalker follow us to our site one night. And that particular night, my psychic said that there was going to be a Wendigo, a Skinwalker, a rake, and a Dogman all working together. Okay. All right. So, you know, my psychic tells me crap that's just off out of her mind. She tells me shit and I laugh. I've been dealing with her for 15 years and I laugh at her all the time, but she's always spot on at the end of the night when you check the boxes. So I didn't tell my cousin this. He's a 20-year-old kid. She's telling me you're going to go in on a path you never went in on, and you're going to be walking for miles. It's like 10 miles. And I'm like, no, I always go in the same way. Blah, 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 blah. Sure as shit, we had to go in on a path we've never been on. And she's telling me if you're going to encounter a skinwalker and a Wendigo, stay on the path. If you go off the path, your life could be in danger, and this, that, and the other thing. And we would come to these forks in the road on this path, like we're following these paths. And normally there's markers on the trees that tell you which way to go. And we would come to forks in the road, and there would be no markers on the trees. And I'm like, okay, my gut's telling me to go left. But my cousin doesn't know what my psychic told me. I didn't tell him because I don't want to freak him out. He's 20 years old. And my cousin says to me, yo, cuz, there's something behind us. It's got red eyes and it's looking at us. And I was like, what are you talking about? He goes, do you got skinwalkers in these woods? And I was like, dude, what made you say that? Where did that come from? Yeah. And the kid's very psychic, very psychic. And I turn around, and there's 50 feet behind us is this thing that looks kind of Native American, but it's got red eyes. And I'm like, okay, crap, that's the skinwalker that the psychic talked about. So then I noticed up on the trees, every time we came to one of these forks that didn't have markers on them and the paths went different directions, there was always a break in the tree about 10, 15 feet high, pointing to the direction to go. And I told my cousin, I said, you know what that is? He goes, no, what's that? I go, that's a Bigfoot marker. That's the way we're supposed to go. Every time we come to a fork in the road, let's look up. And every time we did it, we came to a lot of forks in the road that night. And every time we did, I mean, my gut was always telling me the right way to go anyway, but we would look up, and there would be a break about 15 feet high, pointing either right or left, and we would go that way, and then we'd go like 100 yards around the corner, and there would be a marker on a tree, so we knew we were on the right thing. But the crazy thing is, we get to the sacred site, and we're set up at the sacred site, and the psychic says, "Okay, I think it was like there was a full moon that night. There was there was a full moon, and there was a solar eclipse that night. I think this particular 2 years ago, I think in October, there was this particular thing where we got a full moon and a solar eclipse, and then the following week we got 1% of the moon with a solar eclipse or a lunar eclipse, something like that. And I wanted to be out in the woods both times because I wanted to see how the energy changed, And she said, she's like, and I think this only happens every 14 years or something like that. I looked it up, and I was going out either with my cousin or by myself. I wanted to experience those two things because I know I'm getting older, and the trail out there is really sketchy. And the older I get, the harder it gets because it's the Appalachian Trail, but it's like a goat trail. You know what I mean? And so I wanted to get out there while I could still do it. And anyway, she says something is going to come in tonight. Now, before we went there that particular night, I had a visit from a white Sasquatch called Alaric. Claims to be an elder, an ancient one, an elder, a king shaman, and he told me to go to this location and cleanse it and seal it. So I went there one day on my day off during the day by myself to cleanse it and seal it. I've never had a bad experience with the location. The energy's always been good. But Alaric came to me in the dream state and told me to do this, so I'm going to do it. So I'm there cleansing it, and I actually called a friend of mine, Chris Reinhardt from Discover Sasquatch. I'm on the phone with Chris, and I'm telling him, dude, I'm at the sacred site, because I took Chris there, and Chris had a really bad experience, and he hasn't come back, you know what I mean? And I never had experience there. But I called Chris and said, I'm at the sacred site, I'm cleansing, because Chris had an experience with Alaric too, and Chris lives in Connecticut.
Yeah.
And my psychic had an experience with Alaric, and she lives in Arkansas. So the three of us are connected by this one white Sasquatch. So anyway,
Wow.
I'm on with Chris, and I'm getting hit with infrasound. Now I know what I'm getting hit with because I've been hit with it a bunch of times over the years. So the thing I do is I get behind a big oak tree to get out of the path of this infrasound. I don't know where it's coming from or who's hitting me with it, but I don't want to be in the middle of it because I know how sick it can make you, you know, and I don't want anything to stop me from cleansing this place and sealing it. So I'm on the phone with Chris, and I'm telling Chris, I'm getting hit with infrasound. I don't feel good. I got to get behind a big tree, get out of this direct path of this infrasound. So I went behind this big tree, and I sat there for about 15 minutes, and it passed. And I got up, and I finished cleansing the place, and then I sealed it. So when we went back that night, the psychic said, okay, something is going to come in. It's never been here. It's from a different realm. It's never been here before. It's very, very dangerous. If you see this thing, you have to leave immediately because you guys are in danger. I said, okay. What is it? She said, she called it a bear squatch. She said, it's as big as a Bigfoot, but it's got like a bear's head. And I'm thinking maybe it's a gugway. I don't know, right?
Yeah.
So my cousin are sitting there in the middle of the night at the sacred site. We got glow sticks all around us. We got all this stuff, all this paranormal stuff set out to see if it goes off, like the EMF meters and stuff like that. And I know that the pack of glow sticks that I put out around us was a color pack. It only had one color of each color. Well, the color that was directly in front of me was gold. Now I'm sitting there, and about 50 feet away, 50 yards away, I'm looking at 3 gold glow sticks. And it's not registering that. Why am I looking? So I grabbed my cousin, Sean. I said, Sean, what do you see over there? Tell me what you see. Because I see the 3 yellow glow sticks you put out. I go, you see 3 yellow ones, right? He goes, yeah. I said, me too. I see three yellow ones. He goes, what's the big deal? I go, Sean, there was only 1 yellow glow stick in that pack. So he was like, oh, shit, we got to go over and see what it is. So we get up. We got our headlamps on. We get up and we start walking. And we got our headlamps on flood, so they're not really going out far. But these headlamps can shoot like 700 feet. They're very powerful. And we got flood, and we're walking. And all we got on us are an 18-inch machete, 10-inch survival knife, and bear spray, right? And we walk in, and all of a sudden, we get about 25 feet from base camp, and 2 of the glow sticks blink. So I stopped Sean. I go, stop right here. These 2 stick glow sticks just blinked. I said, let's put the headlamps on spot. Let's see what we're looking at. As soon as we both put our headlamps on spot, this thing stood up, and it went up and up and up and up. And it was 10 feet tall, 1,500 pounds if it weighed an ounce. And it looked at us, and we looked at it, and my cousin's like, well, what do we do now? And I was like, we back out of here very carefully, you know? And it looked, and it turned, and it ran up the western ridge. And there's a 4-foot stone wall at the end of the ridge. It sounded like it jumped over the wall and took down the trees on the other side. So I called the.
Oh, wow.
We just seen your bear squatch. She goes, okay, it's time to leave. I said, okay. So we packed up and we started hiking out. And as we're hiking out, it must have came back, and it threw a stone at us that must have weighed like 500 pounds. Because when this stone hit the water, we were walking along the trail against the lake. There's a 52-acre lake there. This stone hit the water. The splash went up about 20 feet. So we both turn around and we're looking at this splash, and it's only 5 feet off the trail. It didn't go far into the water. Yeah. And Sean says to me, what the hell is that? I said, oh, we got really big beavers here. I said, that was just a beaver. I told him, you know, and he's like, he's a city kid. He doesn't know. Right. And he goes, that was a beaver. I go, yeah, that was a beaver. Don't worry about it. Let's just keep walking. Because we got a 4-mile hike out, you know. And
oh my God,
we hiked out. We got out. We got back to the car, and Sean's like, "That was a beaver," and I was like, "Nah, that wasn't a beaver, Sean." I said, "I think the bear squatch came back and threw a stone at us from up on top of the hill, and it landed in the water." And I said, "I don't know if it was trying to hit us or just trying to get us out of that location, but we were leaving anyway." And so that was seeing that thing up close and personal.
Wow.
As big as it was and as thick as it was as thick as it was wide, and it looked like it was 5 feet wide. It was just a beast.
Oh my God.
And that particular night, we had so much stuff happen to us. It was just, I can't even get into everything that happened because we'd be here all night talking about it.
That's incredible, dude.
That was
That's
insane.
incredible.
I mean, it was bad enough dealing with the rake and the Wendigo and the Dogman and the Skinwalker, but then this thing showed up.
Oh
and we were walking towards it, and my psychic's like, "I told you guys this thing was dangerous. Why the hell were you walking towards it?" I said, "Because we didn't know what it was. We seen 3 yellow glow sticks when it was one." So we decided to go and investigate. That's what we do. We investigate. That's why we're here, you know? Yeah. Until it stood up. And then we started to back off.
And then we got the hell out of there.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Before we get to the other Bigfoot pictures that you sent me, Krista is joining us. Hey, Krista. How you doing?
Hey, how are you guys? I just wanted to say hi. I am actually camping. Where are we camping? We're at Pierre Marquette in Illinois, where Expedition Bigfoot did a investigation out here.
Yeah.
So
you know what?
We are going to do some
really
Bigfoot.
Weird?
What?
You know what's really weird, Krista? I was in Pierre Marquette today. I was in Pierre Marquette.
You were here today?
We passed the campground. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that's weird.
Yeah.
Well, we took a motorcycle ride all through the park, and then we went to eat down at
Ojan's.
Where did we eat?
Ojan's Fish Stand.
Ojan's Fish Stand. And yeah, so we're gonna do some Bigfooting. That's cool. I didn't know you were here. If I'd known, you could have looked me up.
I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, it's good to see you, Al. I haven't seen you in a long time.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I've seen you ladies. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'll have to get you back on Blondes.
Yeah, I got to get back out in the field. I haven't been out in the field in a year, so I'm planning something for either the end of this month or the beginning of November. You know, I want to try to get out there before it gets too cold, but it always seems like it's 20 degrees when I go out there. So
I got to tell you, you made me chuckle about the big beaver. I'm just saying.
Oh, well, you know, like the kid is 20. The kid is 20 years old, and he's really psychic. He has a powerful psychic ability. He really does. But yeah, I know he wasn't buying it. You know what I mean? But I was just trying to get us out of there without him panicking. Because the last thing his father said to me when we left that night is, "Make sure my son comes home in one piece." And I was like, "Yeah, don't worry. Nothing's gonna happen. Nothing ever happens. Nothing bad ever happens to us." You know, but
there you go.
Different, yeah.
I just wanted to stop in and say hi to everybody, and hello, Paul. Hello, Randy.
Well, hello there, Krista. Considering you come in here and try and poach his dadgum guest like that, what the heck?
I know, right? Well, I wanted to say hi to Al. He's been on our show a gazillion times. So
he's been on a bunch of them. So.
Yep. So anyway, I'm gonna go back to my Bigfooting, and I'll let you know if you get anything.
Absolutely.
Have fun. Be safe.
Yep, I will. I'll probably hop in at Donny's show too, briefly.
Oh, I'll be there too. Yay!
All right, I'll see you guys.
All right.
Good night.
All right, see you, Krista.
Bye. All right, bye.
That's really weird. So Pierre Marquette is up by Alton, Illinois, up about an hour away from where I am, and Krista lives not too terribly for about 45 minutes away from me. So it's really weird that she was there as well. Anyway,
yeah, that's pretty wild.
Getting back to the Bigfoot, the pictures that you sent.
Okay.
Please take her off there. There we go. You had this. Well, you know, let's do this one first. I think this was. You said it was the Well,
That's
what are we looking
if
at
you
here?
notice, that's a giant indentation. We found these. We found these. I call them nests, okay, because there are
Mhm.
groups of them, and some are small. And this happens to be one of the bigger ones, but they're all on the western ridge of the sacred site that I go to. Now, I've never been up on the western ridge because I made a deal with the Sasquatches who live on the other side, the home range, that when I'm there, they come and see me, and I won't go up over the ridge onto their home range, you know? And so I've never, all the years I've been going there, I've never gone up the western ridge. Well, again, Alaric came to me one night, and in my mind's eye, he was waving me up the ridge. And I was telling him, no, I can't go up the ridge because I made a deal with the alpha that lives here that I wouldn't go up the ridge long as they would come down and visit me when I'm here. And he looked at me and he shook his head. He's like, no, you're with me. You can come up the ridge. So I said, okay. So I called my psychic and I said, well, what do I do? You know, this is the elder, you know, this guy's an ancient one. And she says, go up the ridge. So me and Sean went up the ridge. And when we went up the ridge, we found these giant holes, for lack of a better definition. And it's funny because Sean was being pulled to the left and I was being pulled to the right. And Sean had never seen a Sasquatch nest before or actual TP structure and any of that stuff. And he called me from the other side of the ridge and he said, yo, cuz, you got to come over. You got to check out these Sasquatch nests. And I started laughing. I was like, what makes you think these are nests? And he goes, just look at them. And I'm looking at them and there's a whole bunch of them. And some are small and some are big. But when you go up to the top of the ridge, there's another one right there. This is a longer one. When you go up to the ridge and you look down at them, they are set up strategically where they're like foxholes. No matter which one you're in, the one in front of you or the one behind you, you're not blocking anybody's vision. So if there's Sasquatches sleeping in the one behind you, or Sasquatch is sleeping in the one in front of you, and you're in the middle, no one's vision is being blocked. And you can see, like what I should have done was probably clean out all of that leaf litter and see what was in the bottom there, you know, but there was so many leaves on the ground. It was ridiculous. But I mean, there was set up, and that's when the little light bulb went up on my head. I was like, holy crap, these things are set up like foxholes, like a military style foxholes. And no matter which one you're in, no matter which way you're looking, if you're looking over the ridge down into the sacred site, or you're looking behind you into the, the home range, if there's anybody or anything coming up on you, you can see in both directions. No one's ever blocking your vision, you know? And that's when I said, you know what, Sean, you're right. These are day nests. I said, they are nests. And I said, and then I being, a kid, I was trying to teach him, like, people will tell you that these are not nests, that there was a tree here and the tree fell down and left this big hole, or there was a giant rock here and the rock washed out from the rain and rolled down the hill. Well, you know what? Let's take pictures of the whole area and show there are no down trees next to any of these holes. There are no huge rocks against any trees down at the bottom of the hill where they could have rolled out of. So let's debunk those two theories right away. As I'm trying to teach you, not just show you stuff, but teach you, because people will try to debunk it this way, And we did. We took pictures of everything. And it was just, and again, I would have never found that if Alaric didn't come to me and wave me up, because I would have never went up there. I would have never broke my word to the alpha Sasquatch when I told him I won't go up the ridge long as you guys come down and visit me when I'm here, Yeah.
Wow. Did you happen to find any hair around those?
We did find some scat, but it was old. We didn't know what it was. It was white. You know what I mean? It was really old. Yeah. And I was like, don't even bother. I told Sean, don't even bother, because it's so old. It's dried up and stuff, And we have black bear here. We have mountain lions, and now even wolves are coming back. So who the hell, I don't know what that scat was, but like I said, I didn't jump into any of the holes, but I could have. I had my Geiger counter with me, I should have jumped into the holes and seen if there was any radiation in them, you know.
That would have been good.
But
yeah,
I did check for radiation up on the ridge, and I did check for radiation at base camp, and it was practically nothing on both sites. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
But I didn't jump into the holes and check. I should have done that. Yeah. You always forget to do something, you know, especially when you find something new. Like, you know, you've been do this stuff for so long, and you start thinking, you know, what else am I ever gonna find? What else is out there? And then you go out and you find stuff like this, and it just gets you like, well, giddy like a kid in a candy shop, because this is stuff I've found structures, a lot of structures, teepees and other nests that look like giant eagle's nest, but I never found holes like this, you know, that were set up like foxholes, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's just,
you know, you
mentioned
seeing something and getting all giddy. A couple weeks ago, coming back from our conference, we were at Emmaus Asylum, and there's surrounded by woods, and I saw my first, I'm assuming it was a Bigfoot print or an 18.5, 19-inch print or something like that.
Yeah.
And that's all I've been thinking about since that trip. Is that, you know, I want to get in the woods now. I want to start doing more of that. And
it's exciting when you see the first one, isn't it?
Oh my God, yeah. I mean, it's just like a whole new world just opened up in front of me, and I'm like, oh my God, I need to get in the woods. And now that I know Krista goes up to Pierre Marquette, which is easily accessible for me to camp and do that, I'll go up there.
There you go.
You sent me another video that's pretty cool, that has a howl and some chatter on it. So let's you want to set the stage real quick for that?
Yeah, let me set the stage for it. The Dogman den that I found on the east part of the woods, okay, on the east side of the lake. We always assumed that the east side of the lake was the Dogman side and the west side was the Sasquatch side. And, you know, maybe they do intercross when one's away and the other one comes through, and vice versa, because I've heard Bigfoot's howl on the east side of the lake, and, you know, the Dogman was up on the ridge that night with the rake and everything. So obviously they come across on each other's turf. But I've been going there now ever since the Dogman came to my house. I haven't gone back to the Dogman den, because he made it very clear. I know where you live. You know where I live. Let's leave it at that. So I think, okay. So every time I go to the sacred site, I don't even think about the Dogman den. I don't even think about it. The thought never comes into my mind, because I'm there for the Squatches. That particular day, as my cousin and I were hiking up the mountain, the thought came to my head. I wonder if the Dogmen are still in that den on the east side of the lake. That's all it did. That little thought flashed into my brain. We got up to the sacred site, which is a high plateau up on top of the mountain. We dropped our bags. We weren't there 10 minutes, and the Dogman went off. Okay? Now, all of our stuff was still in our backpacks, so we both went for our phones. Sean, being 20 years old, was a little quicker than me, and he was able to capture the tail end of the Dogman when it first goes off. Then the coyotes go off, and then like at the 52-second mark, the Dogman goes off again, but this time in between all the coyotes. And like I said, Sean, being a little quicker than me, he was able to actually get that the end of the first hour. And it felt like that Dogman was talking to me. Like, yeah, I'm still here. Stay on that side of the lake. Don't come to my house. That was the vibe I got. I told Sean, I said, that was spent for me, because I had that thought come into my head, and he heard that thought. He heard it. And I was like, son of a bitch, this thing is still here, you know? And so Sean recorded it, and I sent it to you. And if you listen, soon as you turn it on, if you listen carefully, you're going to hear the end of the first howl. And then at the 52-second mark, you'll hear a deeper darker kind of howl in with all the coyotes. And this is crazy.
Okay.
Crazy.
All right.
I got to ask a question
Here we
real
go.
quick. I'm hearing stuff left and right. So that's why I'm trying to, you hear me, you see me make it funny. I'm trying to hear stuff. I hear something like almost like a howl or a little like that at one point, and then almost like a low growl.
I heard that too. It was
okay.
at,
I got 123, right?
Well, I got
an hour and 23 minutes.
3:41. Yeah.
Okay, I caught it at one. I caught it before that part. The growl part, I think, is what you got is the 41 seconds too. So, but either way, somewhere in that area, I heard that, and I was going to make sure that I wasn't the only one that heard it. So.
Yeah, I heard that too. I wrote it down. Okay.
I guess.
All right. Here is the. Here's that video.
Refilming again. We're hearing all these coyotes starting to howl, get loud. Fucking A. Holy shit.
I wish I would have got that very first one. That first one didn't sound like a coyote.
That first one didn't.
No, it was big.
It was way bigger.
Yeah.
Way bigger. Almost sounded like a wolf.
Yeah, it was big.
It was huge, that first one. Way bigger. End clip.
Yeah, and that shit was so loud, and it was like echoing all around us, and it was that pack must have been a really big pack because it was just like the woods was engulfed with the coyotes. It was just crazy, and we had just got there.
Wow, you know you're in for a good night when you first get there and you know all kinds of stuff.
Yeah,
Right
it was nuts. And on our way out that night, we had just hiked down off of the high plateau and got back down to the Appalachian Trail. And we were hiking along the lake, like where that creature threw the rock at us. And the Dogman was right behind us up on a little hill. And he howled at us. Now, Sean was behind me. And this howl, we weren't recording because we didn't expect him to still be out there. And because it was like, 8 hours later. And and this thing went through Sean and it went through me. And I turned around and Sean's eyes were like saucers. And he said, Dogman. Yeah. I said, yeah, Dogman. And we turned around and I'm telling you, this thing was no more than 50 feet away from us. And if it wanted to jump down off of that little hill that it was on, it could have probably landed on both of us because Sean was like right up my ass walking, because he's young, so he's fast, Yeah. And we turned around with our headlamps and we were looking for it, and it was gone. It was in the blink of an eye. I don't know if it jumped off to the side of the mountain and was hugging the mountain in between a couple of rocks, so we couldn't see it, or if it jumped down. There's a lot of these little stone walls that run parallel all over the woods, or if it jumped down behind one of those little stone walls. But I wasn't walking back up that hill to look for it. You know what I mean? We're 4 miles.
Yeah, no kidding.
Where I'm carrying a 50-pound pack. I'm 62 years old, and I'm telling Sean, listen, we're going to hike out of here tonight. We're not going to stop for a water break. We're not going to stop for a piss break. We're just going to keep walking. And Sean looked at me and he says, if you need me to carry your pack, cuz I got it. Don't worry about it. I says, just stay close because I don't want this thing getting in front of us, And we hiked out of there nonstop for 4 miles until we got back to the car, And we had a crazy thing happen to us on the way out too. It was just absolutely nuts. Yeah, I mean, we did experience some like crazy experience. And as we're walking out, and we're about a mile from the main road, and then once we get to the main road, we got like another half a mile to get to the car. We're on an old mining road now, and it's concrete, and we're on the road, and we got our powerful headlamps on, and we got our heads on the swivel because I don't want this thing to get in front of me, because I felt like it was still following us, like it was like hurting us out, and all of a sudden to my right, I see yellow eye shine at like the 5-foot level. So I stop Sean. I go, listen, to the right, 5 foot at like the 2 o'clock. There's eye shine. Pull out your machete. So he pulls out his machete. I pull out my machete. I said, we may have to fight our way out of here, if this thing comes out of the woods. So hopefully it's just a deer, and when we get close, it'll run away. So we're getting closer, and we're getting closer to this eye shine, and it starts to walk out towards us, and it's not running away. And I'm like, what the hell?
Oh my God.
So we stop, and the biggest buck you've ever seen in your life steps out on the trail right in front of us, and he looks at us. He's like looking at us in our eyes, and we're looking at it, and it's looking at us. And it felt like it was trying to tell us something. And we start laughing. We're laughing hysterical now. Like we're giddy because we already forgot about the Dogman chasing us, because now we're dealing with something in front of us that we don't know what it is. And my cousin is like, is this the way deers act around people? And I'm like, no, they don't. They put their white tail up and they run. I said, this is not a deer.
Yeah.
This is not a deer.
Yeah.
I don't know what this is, John, but it's not a deer. So I said, let's just keep walking. And we're walking, and the thing's not moving. And we're getting closer, and we're getting closer. And this thing is standing up, and his head is like as tall as me, the 6 foot level, right? Yeah. And all of a sudden, we stop again. We can pet it. We're so close. We stop again, and it walks across the mining road onto the woods on the other side of us. So then we start to walk past it, and it turns around and it comes back out. And I'm like,
oh my God,
I don't know what the hell we're dealing with. So we
get walked out is what you're doing.
We finally get to the car.
Just keep walking.
We finally get to the car, and I call the psychic in Arkansas, and it's late. You know what I mean? I know they're an hour behind us, but we're in the woods, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning. It's late. And she's like, Al, what's going on? Why are you calling me this late? And I'm like, you don't understand what we just experienced. And I tell her what we experienced. And she said, okay, that wasn't a deer. That was, she called it like a guardian of the woods, she said. And it was there to make sure you guys got past it without the Dogman attacking you.
Wow.
She said it was there to protect you. I said, I thought I was dealing with a goddamn alien. I didn't know what it was. I said, is this an alien standing in front of me and put the image of a deer in my head? I don't know, Me and Sean, 1 minute we're sweating bullets thinking we got this Dogman tracking us down. And the next minute we're laughing hysterical like little kids because we don't know what we're dealing with. But it didn't have a dangerous energy to it, It felt like it was trying to communicate. And maybe because we were laughing so much that we weren't focused enough to actually get the download, the communication.
Yeah.
But it wasn't giving off a negative energy or anything, but it was just sick.
Oh my God. And you got you out of there. We
got out of there. I always get out. You know what I mean? I've never, as bad as these experiences sound, I've never felt like I ever was in any danger. And maybe because I'm an idiot. I don't know. You know what I mean? But like my gut feeling didn't say, like my gut said, okay, when we seen the bear squatch, it was like, okay, we got to leave, but only because Cindy, the psychic, rang that alarm saying it's dangerous. You got to get out of there, but I've had stones thrown at me and tree breaks, and I've had Bigfoots go off like monkeys, making whooping noise and jumping up and down and slapping the minor road and going absolutely apeshit crazy, but never felt like my life was ever in danger. You know what I mean? I always tell everybody I bring with me, don't run. You can't outrun these things. So don't run. We walk out at our own pace. And if shit comes, pull out the machetes because they know what the long blades are. And when they see them shining in the headlamps, they kind of respect the long blade. You know what I mean? And so, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, there's so much more that goes to both of those two experiences I told you about, the solar eclipse and the lunar eclipse and stuff like that. There's so much more that goes to both of them that I didn't even touch on it.
Wow. You know, I mean, you've had so many years of experience and encounters with that. I mean, you could probably talk another 10 hours and not get through everything.
Yeah, everybody's after me to write a book, but I'm not an author. I don't write books. I'm like, nah, I'm not an author.
Yeah.
Who the hell's going to buy my book? Who the hell wants to hear my story? You know what I mean? So,
you know, I think a lot of people would actually.
Yeah. I
don't think so.
Yeah. You could do one chapter for each story and you got a book before you know it, you know?
Oh, I got a lot of stories. Yeah. Absolutely.
It'll look like War and Peace by the time you're done with it.
It'd have to be like a whole, like a series of books, I guess. I don't know. But I just do my own thing. You know, like I said, I don't even really post anything anymore on YouTube or anything because I'm so tired of people stealing my shit and putting it in documentaries and putting it in books and not giving me any credit for it. And, you know, and then you catch them and then you call them out on it. And they ghost you, you know what I mean? So it's just like that. That's why people think I'm retired.
Yeah, you're probably better off not.
Yeah, it's just tired of, you know, like I've caught so many people over the years. I'm like, dude, if you want to use the story, let me know. Give me just do me a favor. Don't edit it because what I'm telling you is the way it happened, and don't edit it to fit your narrative because now you're changing the experience, you know? Yeah. And that really pisses me off, you know? Yeah. You know, because maybe the way they edit it, it sounds like a bullshit story, you know, just tell it the way it happened. I always tell people, anybody who comes with me, don't embellish anything because the shit that we experience is crazy enough. We don't need to experience it. We don't need to embellish anything. Just tell it the way it happened. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And, you know, you're a very credible person. So, yeah, we're gonna believe it. I mean,
my word is my bond. You know what I mean? And I've gone out with other Squatchers, and they take me out to their locations, and they say, "Please don't ever come here without me." And I make them a promise. I said, "Absolutely, I would never come here without you." And I've never gone out to any of their locations ever again unless they invite me out. You know what I mean? Because I know a couple of them that only go out during the day. They don't go out at night. They're too scared to go out at night. And I believe the Sasquatches are more active at night than they are during the day. So if you really want to investigate them and get to know what they're up to, nighttime is the time to be out there. You know, I'm not saying they don't move around during the day. I'm sure there are ones that move around during the day for food and water and stuff like that. But at night is when they hunt and they're most active. And that's when you need to be in there. You know what I mean? So, 100%. I mean, I was in there one time, long story short, I was in there one time where my group of guys, we were in between two of them, one down in a deep holler and one above us on a high ridge. And they were trying to get to each other and we were moving parallel with them and they couldn't get to each other. And they got pissed off. When we came down off the ridge, we were in the swamp and there was a pack of coyotes hunting that night in the swamp. And they started killing the coyotes. They went crazy. They started smashing coyotes against trees and rocks. I had a coyote the size of a German Shepherd run into me because it was looking over its shoulder. It was so scared. It was running for it. Hit me, sent me flying into a tree, and I dislocated my shoulder. And I had to lean up against the tree to snap my shoulder back in place. And all of my friends who were with me, who were from the city, just ran off in different directions in the woods. They didn't even know where they were going. And I'm hiking out, and I run across a couple in a tent off the Appalachian Trail camping. And they're like, should we get out of here? Because I heard the coyotes and everything yipping and you could hear them just being crushed against trees.
Yeah.
Bang. Bigfoots were just pissed. And I said, no, stay in your tent. The coyotes are hunting. They're not hunting people. They're just running around going. I wasn't telling them that the Bigfoots were killing the coyotes, but I said, just stay in the tent and you guys will be fine, And I just said, I'm just looking for my friends. They all ran out of here like, chickens and everything, and ran into everybody back at the car. Everybody made it out okay. But the Bigfoots were pissed off that they couldn't get to each other. And they took it out on the coyotes. Thank God they took it out on the coyotes and not us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah. Like I said, that one coyote hit me like a linebacker and set me flying. And good thing I had my headlamp on, because at the last second, I see my head going towards a tree, and I moved my head and I hit my shoulder and I dislocated my shoulder. I was like, And then I was going to get into the car. When we were leaving, I went to grab the handle of the car with my left hand. And when I went to pull it in, the shoulder came out again. And I had to lean it up into the seat and put it back in. And I got home like at 2:00 in the morning. I woke my wife up. I said, listen, we got to go to the emergency room. I dislocated my shoulder. She's like, you got to be fucking kidding me, 2:00 in the morning. I'm like, listen, we got to go, because I got to get this shit looked at, But it was crazy. It was a crazy night.
It's not funny, but I mean, it's an incredible story. I mean, wow.
And that's the short version of it, because there was so much more to it. Yeah. I mean, it was nuts.
Yeah. Well, Al, this has been one hell of a fantastic show. I mean, you have so many amazing stories and encounters that just blow our minds. It's incredible. Thank you so much for spending some of your Saturday here with us.
Thank you for inviting me, man. I appreciate it very much. Thank you for having me. Absolutely.
Anytime. And we'll have you on, sooner time, the next time. So
okay, no problem. Whenever you want me, you got me. Just reach out. You got my information.
Yep. Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you all so much for being here. Randy, thank you for filling in for Krista tonight. I appreciate you. And I'm sorry about Texas tonight.
I need all the help I can get on that
one. All right, guys. Make sure you head on over to Donny's channel right now, and then BMR at 11 o'clock Central with the girls tonight. So everybody, again, thank you, Al. Thank you so much for being here with us tonight. We certainly appreciate it. Everybody in chat, thank you guys for being here. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend, and we will see you later. Thank you all for being here.